Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Last night I had the opportunity to check out the newest Pixar film, Inside Out 2, the sequel to the hit film that came out 9 years ago. 9 years ago. Almost a decade since that movie came out. I feel like I just saw that movie a couple years ago. This movie picks up a year after the events of the last film, and we catch up with Riley, where she's now made friends in this new school that she's in. She's not alone anymore. They even all joined the same hockey team, where they're like the star players of their team. Now, this movie establishes this all in like the first 5 minutes, but the story really picks up when a high school hockey coach decides to attend the junior high sports event of their hockey tournament and sees potential in these three girls and their ability to play together as a team. She comes up to them and says that she sees this potential in them and she wants them all to attend this hockey camp for a weekend and have them play with these all-star high school hockey players and see if they can kind of keep up with them and see if they have potential to join the team when they eventually do attend that high school. Upon getting to this camp, however, with her friends, Riley is initially very excited about getting to be on the team with her friends and follow that dynamic that they have in junior high, but Riley gets to meet someone that she actually really looks up to, which is an older high school student who's like an all-star player for the high school team. She's drawn between wanting to play with her friends and wanting Riley to think she's cool amongst her friends, so she doesn't know who to prioritize and who to hang out with. And in doing this, internally in her mind, going back and forth and stressing herself out, she introduces new emotions. Among the new emotions are anxiety, who in my opinion has the most to do out of all the new emotions. Then you got envy, you got embarrassment, you got nostalgia, which has probably the least amount to do, and then you got Inui, something like that. I'm not really too sure. This is going over my head if that means something, but it's essentially boredom in an emotion. As I said before, anxiety has the most to do in this film. Essentially, she pops up in the beginning just to assist Joy in the decision-making for Riley during this weekend, but upon Joy making some bad decisions that led to her getting embarrassed, anxiety gets so riddled with anxiety that she decides to lock up the original core emotions because she thinks that they're getting in the way and causing a disaster for Riley in the future, where she's going to ruin her chances at friends when she eventually goes to high school and ruin her chances of eventually getting on that hockey team. She literally locks them up in a mental mind prison, if you will, and that's the scene in the trailer where you see Fear going, "We're suppressed emotions." With them out of the way, now anxiety can make all the decisions for Riley, which on the outside looking in, we all know is a very bad idea. Joy and all the other emotions understand this concept very early on, so they have to break out of this prison, get back to the command center, and get anxiety out of the way of full control so they could save Riley's future, essentially. The thing this franchise does really well is creating these physical representations of what the inside of our mind would actually probably look like. Like, if you have a fond memory, but it's not something that's super important to you, they get stored in these like server banks deep within Riley's mind. Or our imagination being this physical playground that we go to play to from time to time when we're not working or doing other chores. But those aren't really what makes these movies great as much as they are like sprinkles on the top of an ice cream. What makes these movies stand out a lot more for me than other Pixar films is how it depicts emotions as characters. Every Disney and Pixar film has a hidden message that usually only adults see, right? I love that this franchise is really about self-love. It finds really interesting ways to hold a mirror up to us and kind of try and reach out and let us know like, hey, you're being a little hard on yourself. And sometimes we might feel like we're not good enough, and even though that sucks, it's a part of us. It's a part of you, and it makes you who you are. And we should love every aspect of who we are because it makes us whole. I mean, yes, anxiety is a huge problem in this film, but at the end of the day, she's only doing it because she loves Riley and she wants what's best for her. Although she is the antagonist in the film, she's not a true villain. Joy understands that she needs to stop anxiety, but this movie as a whole understands that you can't stop emotions. You can't suppress them. It only makes it worse. The success isn't stopping or suppressing an emotion, it's learning to live with it. It's about how we need sadness to feel joy. It doesn't work without the other. We need fear to experience bravery. Sometimes it takes all of our emotions collectively to comfort our own anxiety, whether that be screaming into a pillow or letting out a good cry that you haven't had in a long time. Sometimes you just need to embrace it. This movie at its heart is really about embracing all aspects of you, the good and the bad. For me personally, I think this movie is a step above the original. I know that's not going to be popular with a lot of people, but like I said, for me personally, I resonated a lot with the overall message at the end of this movie, more so than I did with the last one. In Inside Out 1, Riley was upset about having to move from her hometown, away from her friends, and going to this place that's new to her where she doesn't know anybody, and coming to terms with that. When the emotional moment happens at the end of the film, when she finally does come to terms with that, I couldn't resonate with it because I've never been put in that situation. I still live very close to where I grew up. In this film, when the emotional conclusion happens towards the end, I related to it on such a personal level because I've also had anxiety and panic attacks on important changes that were happening in my life. I know what it's like to let anxiety kind of take the wheel and control all of my decisions and make me kind of burrow into a hole and not want to come out of it. I've since learned how to live with it and manage it in a way that doesn't affect my day-to-day, but I've never seen a film represent the journey I went on to get there so effectively in like 10 minutes. And although I really enjoyed this film, like a lot, I did have some minor nitpicks about it. I thought, like the first one, this film was a little short. I would have liked maybe another 15 to 20 minutes to flesh out some of the things that happened and see kind of where things go after the final moments of this movie. I also so desperately wish we got a lot more of the parents' inside emotions, because when that stuff was happening and we're seeing the emotions reacting to things going on in her dad's head and her mom's head, that's when I was laughing the hardest in this film. That's actually when I laughed the hardest in the last film too. They also set something up in this film that's kind of funny when it's happening about Riley's deepest, darkest secret being an emotion in and of itself. And you do get the payoff to it if you stay until after the credits. But I thought that it was not very good and not worth waiting through the credits for, so that was kind of disappointing. And as much as I loved embarrassment, I thought the other new emotions they introduced in this film didn't really have a whole lot to do, and they were kind of just wasted away behind anxiety. Minus embarrassment. He does have one cool thing to do towards the end that kind of helps save the day, so I'll give them that. Overall, I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. This movie just nails what it's like to get older, the fears of getting older and having to make these tough decisions in life. It could relate to both kids and adults, although I do think adults are gonna take something out of this that kids won't, because we all understand what it's like to go through a lot of those decisions, and kids don't yet. It has an ending that really just stuck the landing for me. It was super rewarding on a personal level to see something like anxiety so perfectly conceptualized on the big screen in a way I've never seen before. I wish they did this in movies 20 years ago to prepare me for what was to come, because I feel like there would have been a lot less kids with anxiety if they did that. I love that this movie is about loving yourself and not suppressing your own emotions and kind of coming to terms with everything about you makes you beautiful, even the bad things, the good things, the angry parts of you, the sadness. It's okay to cry. It's okay to need help. It's okay to lash out sometimes when you've had enough. All of this stuff is what makes you special and what makes you who you are. And of course, the music's great, the cast is great, with again, Amy Poehler being the standout of the film. She is wonderful as Joy. Guys, I really can't recommend this movie enough. I hear a lot from different people all over the place that, oh, it's just a movie for kids, and that's not true. Pixar makes movies for adults because all the themes are things that only adults would understand, in a kid-friendly package so that families can go and everyone can enjoy it together. So don't let that stigma deter you if maybe you don't have that many people to go see it. Maybe you're thinking because you don't have kids you can't see this movie. I promise you, there is something in it for you. I don't have kids, and I went and saw it with my girlfriend who also has anxiety, and we were both tearing up at the end of this movie. Anyway, thanks again for coming to my channel, guys. I hope I gave you a reason to go to the movies this weekend. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. I really want to grow this channel into a community of average Joes like myself that just love movies and want to talk about movies. Ideally, down the line, I would like to do a daily show where we all come together and talk about movie news, because there's a couple movie pundits that I follow that are gonna retire soon, and that breaks my heart because I love having a community and a place to go to just listen to people talk about movies and movie news, TV, streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. If you catch that reference, kudos to you. I hope you'll join me for that. Anyway, thanks for checking in, and as always, I'll catch you next time.